In this presentation, I want to review curriculum step number 1, which is developing your philosophy and mission statement. Now, there will be 6 steps in the overall completion of your curriculum development project, and some of these steps will be completed individually, and some will be completed as a group. Some are more simple than others, and some will require a lot more of your time. And I'll address these one at a time to avoid overwhelming you. But there is a lot of work involved, so be sure to plan your time wisely. And I want you to approach this first step, the philosophy and mission statement, seriously and make it as applicable to your current job and responsibilities as possible. And this is probably, in my opinion, the most important part of your overall curriculum because it is the driving force behind what you do and why you do it. It encompasses your true personal feelings and beliefs about your program. And oftentimes we have difficulty expressing what we truly believe and feel, and there is generally a disconnect from our words and our actions. But by putting it on paper, we assume a sense of accountability and responsibility in supporting and maintaining those beliefs. And the philosophy is something that we should reflect on regularly and update it as we gain more experience. And if you honestly believe what you put on paper for your philosophy, and I hope you do, the remainder of your curriculum will be driven by this, and you should have a clear focus, goal, and purpose for your program. So everything you do following your philosophy should be aligned to it. Your program philosophy is something that will be completed individually. So initially, everyone will complete and submit their own. And later, when you arrange your group and begin to develop your final curriculum project, you will work together to combine your philosophy with that of everyone else in your group, and then just develop one philosophy that represents the entire group. And now this is not easily done, so you'll need to spend some time working on this when you reach that point. So the first step in developing your program philosophy is to begin by responding to the statement, "We believe." Following this, simply list what you truly believe the importance of your program is. We is the plural sense because it should represent the thoughts and opinions of everyone in our department, not only your own. Remember that list of 5 reasons why you think your program is important? It's time to use those, and use those to help develop your philosophy. Reevaluate your list and determine if your 5 reasons are actually justifiable and observable. Pull from your list the best 3 reasons that you feel strongly about and use them in the development of your program philosophy. Your philosophy should answer some important questions as it relates to your overall program. And these questions include the following. What is the purpose of your program? And here, think about why your program actually exists. What are the goals of your program, whether you are teaching or coaching? Next, why do students or athletes need your program? Here, think about and explain why you believe students should participate in your program. Is there a difference physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually between the students who participate in your program and those who do not? What kind of example are you as a professional setting within the program that students can look up to? Next, what can your program do for students or athletes? What are students and athletes exposed to in your program that they may not be exposed to outside of it? And how does your program benefit the students and the athletes that it serves? And then what are the overall goals, student, athlete related, of your program? What do you expect the students and athletes in your program to be able to do as a result of your program? In other words, what's the big picture? When students and athletes complete your program, what are some of the things you want them to take away from that experience? And as you begin to think about how you should answer these questions within your philosophy, try to avoid the traditional or stereotypical responses that really provide no basis for a program. Simply stating things such as having fun, addressing teamwork, socialization, competition. These do not directly answer the questions, nor do they really justify your program unless you can specifically and clearly indicate how and why these things are important within your program. If you can't do that, avoid using them as rationales. This doesn't mean that these things are not important, and I believe they are at certain levels and ages, but I have yet to see any program that effectively addresses, teaches, and encourages these behaviors consistently and realistically. If you've mentioned some of these things in your philosophy, you must clearly justify why and how they are important. Additionally, avoid regurgitating the standards or some other document that you've read. Remember, these are your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and opinions as they relate to your program. there are several things that you should believe wholeheartedly, and it's perfectly acceptable to agree with things like the standards or the documentations, and you should, but simply restating them in your philosophy does not personalize your beliefs or your program. Remember, focus on what you feel is important for your students and athletes. And if you have trouble really justifying your program, then you need to ask yourself, why does the program even exist? Why is it needed? And this is a question that a lot of districts try to address before cutting a program. And when it comes down to it, how effective is your program in actually meeting the goals and the expectations? So for those of you who have purchased the Kelly and Melograno text, Developing the Physical Education Curriculum, there's an excellent worksheet that can be used to identify the important points of your program to help you include those in your philosophy and work on your philosophy. If you have that text, it can serve as a valuable resource, not only for this step, but for the other steps as well. And in your program philosophy, don't state specifically what you intend to do, but address the benefits of your program. In other words, justify the need and purpose of your program. Keep in mind that this is a program philosophy, not a personal philosophy. Maintain your focus on the overall program in which you're a part of. Now, most program philosophy statements begin by identifying the school. In this way, it helps you to maintain your focus. So, for example, the physical education department at school X believes, and continue with your statement, or the Wildcats physical education program at school at Y believes, and continue with your statement. And by beginning your statement this way, it defines and identifies who you are and somewhat forces you to state exactly what the purpose of your program is, or what at least you believe it to be. Your philosophy must include your institution's name, and although at this point it is individualized, eventually you'll collaborate with your group members like I mentioned before, and you'll need to agree on a fictitious name that represents all of the programs of the members in your group. Also, include all grade levels that you cover and cite the standards that support your curriculum, as well as any other information that adds credibility and support to your program. There may already be a document or philosophy for your school program, and feel free to use and revise this as it meets our standards of expectation for a working program philosophy. And as you develop or revise your philosophy, understand what a program philosophy is not. This is not a personal teaching philosophy. While personal teaching philosophies are important, remember that a program philosophy covers multiple beliefs and frames the purpose and need for an actual program, not a person. Your program philosophy should not be a bulleted list of statements that you think are important. This is a professional document, and it should be written and so. This is not a list or a description of what you will do or how you plan to carry out your beliefs or things that you will do within your program or you think that should be done. Focus on your beliefs and your goals. State what they are and why they are important to your program. Also, a philosophy is not a simple response to questions presented. Although some have completed it this way, it's not to be done that way. This should be viewed as more than an assignment for this course. Give some time and thought into developing your program philosophy. And your program philosophy should be written in an essay format and be no more than 1 page, and I would say 1.5 maximum. This is a tough challenge because you'll need to condense and edit all that you believe to be important into this 1 to 1.5 page. And I'll strictly hold to this expectation. No more than 1 page, 1.5 is pushing it. Don't simply respond to the guiding questions presented or create a checklist of things for your program and what it does. It should be a complete, comprehensive statement. And if you've done any research in the development of philosophies or taking a look at some of the examples, you'll find that a mission statement almost always precedes it or follows it. And this is naturally an additional part of your program philosophy. So, following your program philosophy, you will develop a mission statement. And the purpose of the mission statement is really to, first of all, summarize your philosophy, identify your program's fundamental purpose, and indicate your program's reason for existence. And this is really the most important area to address in your mission statement. And writing a mission statement is not as easy as it may seem, because you have to do this in no more than 2 or 4 sentences. You should summarize your entire philosophy, providing the broad overall mission of your program. So think for a moment. How can you summarize the entire program in just a few sentences? And what this is really asking is for your mission. What is that mission of your program? What is your goal? What is it that you ultimately hope to do as a result of your program? Basically, your mission statement addresses 3 major areas. Number one, what do you want to do? Number two, how do you want to do it? And three, for whom do you want to do it? Try to remain focused on these areas as you develop your mission statement. Remember, this is your expected program's mission. And one thing that students suggest, which I typically avoid doing, is providing an example of this, because what typically occurs over and over again is the duplication of the example provided. When looking at an example, most students, and I'm not suggesting that this is any of you, of course, but most students fail to think critically and creatively and don't develop their own mission statement. So for that reason, I'm very hesitant and typically do not provide examples of the work that's expected. So take some time, research current program philosophies and mission statements to get an idea of how they're developed. Check to see if your program already has a philosophy that you can work with, and then follow the guidelines for this assignment and compare your final product to the assignment rubric. And as usual, don't hesitate to ask me questions or for clarification. So take care, and I'll see you online.